Hi, I'm Zoe. Welcome back to my channel. I am doing my January wrap-up, finally before the end of February. This character takes what looks like a really amazing opportunity where she's apartment sitting and she'll get like $1,000 a week just for apartment sitting, and it's in this super like bougie, really nice area in New York that overlooks Central Park. It sounds great, but there are all these weird rules. Things like you can't have anybody in the apartment at any time, you have to spend every single night at the apartment, things like that. It gets really weird really fast. And with an old building like that, where you're setting it up to have like weird creepy things, like you had the setting, you had the concept, and it was so disappointing after that. The main character doesn't really have anything happen directly to her until the very end of the book. She doesn't really make any distinct decisions other than taking the apartment sitting gig, and I'm glad it was on audiobook because I don't know if I would have been able to finish it if I had a physical book or an ebook. So that was my feeling around that book. Do not recommend. I don't really do star ratings, but yeah, do not recommend. My next book, on the other hand, was so good. I know everyone's talking about this book, but The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. This is not one that you're going to run through really fast. This is a sit down and read and absorb. Now, I know a lot of people had issues with the pacing in this. I will fully say it is a very white book. White, papery white. Basically, Addie makes a deal for her soul with a demon that she is immortal, essentially. And every year on her birthday, she will be visited by him and he will try to get her to give up her soul. And the bargain is essentially like, you can have it when I'm done with it, but until then I'm immortal. The catch to this is as soon as she walks away from someone, they don't remember her. This makes it for, a difficult life and everything. There is some queer rep. She has if we could just have a spinoff of her like one lesbian relationship, like just that character, I would watch it. I would watch it in a fucking heartbeat. It was so cute. And our other character also has a deal with that demon, and being someone who has lived with mental health issues, he really resonated with me. I did cry at the end of this book. I really enjoyed it. Again, this is not a fast read. For me, this is something that you're like, all right, I need something to fall into, and it's going to take me a little time to get through, and I am perfectly okay with that. But for that type of book, I want to read this again. That book, however, came after Lock Every Door and before another very disappointing book, which was The Demon You Know by Mike Carey. Again, the world and the setup was so interesting. Essentially, around Y2K, rather than having, all of the computers crash and everything, ghosts and the dead start rising. And they're kind of just a normal part of everyday life at this point. Like, you'll see a zombie hanging out by a park, like, waiting for their kid, and it's really sad, and it has a really interesting, like, connotation about, like, what means something really big to us, what's important to us. And our main character is an exorcist. And it could have been so good. When I first started this, I said to my husband, this reads like it's trying to be knockoff Dresden Files. And then I said, oh, you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. I think maybe I'm right. Again, we have a main character who should, by all accounts, have so many things to do. We basically spend the entire book with him trying different ways to figure out his main mystery and failing. And then, near the end, and I will never forgive Mike Carey for this, for doing this to me and making me read it, we had 20 pages of solid exposition. Now, there is a person in the room with our main character, telling them what happened, detailing this deep, complex story about sex trafficking and violence and falling into a world that he didn't have an intention of being in, but it was too seductive for him. And it's a heavy thing. But rather than showing us a conversation, rather than giving us a second point of view where we get to see this play out, rather than literally any other option, we spent 20 pages with our main character narrating the story that the main character is being told by another person. 20 pages of exposition. I cannot forgive you for that, Mike Carey. I just can't. I don't remember the order that I read these next few in, so we're just going to go for it. I read Across the Green Grass Fields by Seanan McGuire. This was a nice little pick-me-up. It's short, you can tell. It's a novella. It's in the Wayward Children novella series, which I really love. The magic in this kind of universe is set up so that certain children get doors that they walk through, and it takes them to a different type of fantastical world that is kind of made for them and what they need and are looking for in life. This book felt a lot different than the rest of the series. This character goes into a world of centaurs and unicorns, and this character is intersex, which there was a really interesting storyline around that, and how in this world, because there weren't any other humans, no one was judging them for the way that they developed, the way that they went through puberty, the way that they looked. It was a non-issue in that. And I really enjoyed it. I guess there's not really much more to say about that. I love this series. It did feel different than the other books in this series, but I still really enjoyed it, and it was a really nice break after the beginning of the month. Now, the next two that I read, I was really frustrated with what I was reading, and I was like, you know what? Not feeling so great. I need something that'll give me some good catharsis and make me feel better. So, of course, the next book I went to was Wilder Girls, which is about a virus. Because when I need to feel better, I go deep into my feeling that I'm having right then, and apparently that works for me. So Wilder Girls is about an all-girls school that is on an island, and there has been a virus outbreak. This virus outbreak has killed girls. They randomly have these spurts of almost magical inflictions. One of the main characters, her right eye just fused shut, and every season, essentially, they will have these flare-ups, and it is horrific. It is such a good book. If you do not like body horror, don't. I will put that out there right now. If you do not like gross, if you do not like body horror, this is not the book for you. My one complaint about it is the ending. It does very much set itself up to have a sequel, and I'll be really interested in reading that, but the ending is too short. So the ending was cut short, which I did not particularly like, but if there is a sequel, I am definitely reading it, because this was such a good, gross, creepy, excellent book. And now for my final read of January, another one that is deep and dark, and if you want a feel-good book, do not read it. And that is The Grace Year by Kim Liggett. Liggett? I'm going to say it's a hard G because there's two of them. Okay. This, I actually kind of picked up on a whim. This one I saw in the, buy one, get one half off on Barnes & Noble around Christmas, and it just looked so interesting, and I'm so happy that I got it. And I'm gonna read this again at some point when I've had some time to digest it. I loved this book so much. The setup is that On their 16th year, girls are sent off into the woods to release their magic. Into the woods, come back purified, having released their magic, and be ready for marriage. If you take The Handmaid's Tale, minus all the sexual assault, mix it with Lord of the Flies, and then add in just a healthy dose of its own horrific story, that's what you get here. It's so well written. It is so well done. And there's just so much to digest about women and women's rights and how we as a society feed into the suppression of women, oppression of women, even if we have experienced the same traumas that they have experienced, and we still play into it and we still feed into it. And the way that society, it's so not a light book, but I do plan on reading this again. And oh my God, it was so good. Those were all of my reads for January. I read 6 books. And you know what? I'm happy with that. I was recently watching a video about how BookTube and BookTok and everyone is really obsessed with statistics. Like, I read this number of books per month, and that can kind of cause this false image of what is normal, especially for people who interact with our channels and everything. And some people I've even heard say, like, oh, I felt like I couldn't make a video about my wrap-up if I hadn't read 10 books in a month. And I'd already been thinking about this before. I am just reading as much as I can, and I am reading what I enjoy, and I am reading my small authors projects, which, oh my God, it's been so good so far. I ordered 2 more books today, and I cannot wait to read them. If you have no clue what I'm talking about, I'm gonna leave a thing up in the cards somewhere that you can click on to my video about the small self-published and independently published reading project that I launched in January as well, or February. I launched it at some point prior to recording this video. I'm not entirely certain right now when, because the last week has been a blur. That is my rant about my January reads. Let me know what you read. What was your favorite book of the month? Either what I read or what you read, whatever. Also, if you want to hear me rant in a much looser format, I have a TikTok where I am talking about books and writing and small authors and all of these things. I don't know why that's the voice I went into, but I did. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, keep reading. Bye!